What happened to him? Did he get lost already?
Running away from the introduction. I can do the food part first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll do this out of order. Obviously, there's a major presentation on the lessons learned and the after action for field day. My piece is the food piece, my piece being the team that included Lee and others. These slides are way too small to read, but they're more my prompt to you. So what did field day cost? Well, let's put it on a per meal basis. And what I did was I looked at last year and this year. So last year we fed 210 plates. So that meant there were 40 people that ate on Friday night, 30 people that ate on Saturday lunch, et cetera, et cetera. So there were 210 plates we served last year. We served 249 this year, with the weather predicted to be worse this year than last year. So we fed more people. This year, our average price for each of the meals, $5 for the Sunday lunch. Now, the asterisk off to the side there, the front row can attest there's an asterisk and fine print note. The fine print note said, we recycle a lot of food from one meal to the other meal. So probably the Saturday evening dinner was probably overstated. It was probably less than $14.38. I think from this, what I conclude is we couldn't cater at that price. Okay? And the food was okay? Good. Glad to hear that. Let's see if I can get to the next page.
What about the
Calories per QSO. Well, you have to wait because I don't know what the number of QSOs were. We did something different this year. We created a sign-in roster and recruited people to help in various positions, including cooks and cleanup and the like. We had every roster position filled but one in a meal server on Saturday dinner. That didn't impact us, but in fact, one of our lessons learned is we need one or more additional positions. We need a dessert chef, because I failed miserably on desserts. And so we'll create a dessert chef and let him or her wow you with the kind of thing. With regards to lessons learned on the meal side, we've created about 40 of them. I'm only going to hit one or two of them that are on this page here. We, for the first time, parlayed the utility trailer that brought all the stuff from the storage locker over to the facility and used that as our, if you will, mess locker. From my point of view, that worked out very well. There were a couple things we didn't do as well as we could have with how we allocated space in that locker so that people could be set up to serve their meals. The other thing that I thought came out that was really, really good was that the thing that we did this year that I thought went over very well was we asked the club if anybody had dietary meals requirements. There were, and we were able to serve those dietary meals to the people that need them. Now, I think we could have done a better job of informing those people that their meals were over here, because when we put them out on the serving line, everybody ate all those non-meat meals. So that was a little bit of an issue. So while I believe there was a lot of good lessons learned, and internally there were some things that we could do better. For example, the tent crew who put up the tent, that really worked well Friday night. That cost us an extra $55 having that tent for the extra day. But having that tent served a whole lot of purposes, including John. It gave you a little bit better place to sleep Friday night on security detail instead of being in your pup tent wondering if it was going to inundate with rain, because you took your pup tent and put it underneath the tent. So that's all I have to say, Mike, and I was a filler waiting for you. I'm what's called the setup band guy, and so you're the main guy. So come on up here and I'll get off these sides and say thank you very much to the whole team that made it work. There was a lot of effort. We stayed within budget, and that is all that frankly counts. I don't, is Terry Lowe here? I don't think so. What's the question, John? There you go. Here's your slides.
Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to have tonight, I haven't submitted anything yet to the ARRL. I figured we'll present it to the club tonight. That way, if anybody sees anything, can raise a flag, any corrections, I can do those and get it submitted. So everything's going to be marked preliminary, but I think it's final unless somebody finds something that we need correcting. All right, so I sent out for the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the results for action report here. I sent out a note to the listserv asking for input. So a lot of the comments you'll see here are from you guys. I can consolidate them to present them here. So I really appreciate all the feedback I got to put this together. And so the winner is, as John, who's not here tonight, is not here, like to say, all who participated were winners. So I think there was a lot of folks came out, everybody had a good time, everybody was winners, but here's our scores. So the first slide here is what I'm going to be presenting or mailing in to the ARRL as far as our QSO counts. These are from the Cabrillo and the ADF files that we got off the computers, and I just entered them straight in. So I've got some later slides that we can compare these numbers to our later ones. But it's interesting that this year we had a lot on 10 meters, where prior years we haven't. And given the sunspot activity and the condex, I found that kind of surprising that we had that many phone QSOs on 10 meters. All the 6 meter, 2 meter, and other, these are all from John's Mad Max vehicle. And the 4 satellite QSOs, man, Mark sweated for those. He must have been on the air 24 hours straight to get those 4 QSOs. So that was a Herculean effort for those 4 points.
What is counter?
That's the, 220? No, is it 220? This is, so next, half of that. What is it?
47.
Yeah. Okay, so scoring-wise, for those who don't know, this tallies up for each band the modes. We have the CW, digital, and phone. So at the bottom here is the summation of each of those modes. For CW and digital, those points count twice. So you'll see then the points go from the QSO double to the points for both the CW and the digital, and those get summed over. And then since we're on emergency power, all that gets doubled again. So with our power multiplier of 2, that 6,790 is our final QSO score without counting bonuses. And then for our field day bonuses, these are all the possible bonuses that we can get. And the ones in green are the ones that we ticked off. The 2 here that are not in green, that are still white, I don't have the evidence for that yet, but I've been assured that we can tick those off, so they are tallied in our final tally. And then we have the 3 here in red are the ones that we didn't get. But they're not elected. We invited them, but they do have to attend.
Yeah, we invited a whole.
We did.
We probably invited close to 100 elected.
It was the most concentrated outreach I've seen yet. But you can't. What can you do if they don't show up?
But they don't have to show up. That's what I thought. They have to invite them. That's right.
I was thinking it is too.
Is it? Because I read the rules and it said that you had to show. I'll check again.
Check again.
Okay, I will do.
Unless that, we got to go back and change our 2001 score. Hey, what's the go to?
Well, we got go to points, but we didn't get any of the bonus points. For bonus points, you need to have an operator. There's several things, but operate 20. A single operator make 20 QSOs. Get you additional points, and then if you have a coach, those points double. I'll tell you what, if you want to go on to the ARRL Field, if you haven't looked at it already, their packet, and try to figure out those GOTAs and the bonus points. It's mind-bending exercise, I'm telling you. It's, I don't know how they could make it any more complicated. I do not know.
It's gotten that way over here.
So the only thing we could do there is just try to recruit more GOTA operators. I think we had one operator, and I have to apologize. I have a listing later with the GOTA operators, and I think I've got them wrong. So I'll have to correct it. It's not super important, but I will get it fixed. But we had somebody, I think, put in close, like 16 QSOs or something. So another 4, and we would have gotten some bonus points there. I think last year, Rebecca earned us bonus points because she got more than 20 last year, but she was coaching this year, so that didn't count. And the other one was youth group or use. You know, again, that's a hard one. And in the past, we've had some Boy Scouts come out, Girl Scouts. If anybody knows, you know, people in, you know, STEM programs or something, but I don't know.
I'm trying to get the STEM group from our community center to come out.
It's hard to get them to come out. I don't quite understand, but it's still, I mean, you know, a single, every operator, I think it's 20 points per operator. And I saw kids, you know, walking around and sticking their heads in a tent. So, you know, if you see a kid walk by, you know, just grab them and stick a mic in their hand and put them on the air.
What do you have to do to get the youth involved?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They just have to operate?
They just have to operate.
So if you were to offer, we have to get additional people to volunteer for this, but the way that you can get, say, a Boy Scout group, I guarantee you, if you get someone who will teach a set of Boy Scouts, there's a merit badge for radio, targeted for an amateur radio. You will get every single Boy Scout troop in 30 miles.
Well, it'd be great. I mean, it's limited. There is a cap on it. It's probably 100 points or something. But still, I mean, you would think, but we've yet to accomplish that.
Okay.
We've done it in the past, though.
I'd have to look at the requirements to get those people to do in a day, but it might be.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a merit badge.
Okay. If a kid walks by, can I let him operate a regular station on the GOTA without the license?
Yes. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, anybody in your ham shack.
Because I was convinced that I wouldn't be able. The GOTA is for people with license.
Anybody can operate.
Involvement is not just the GOTA station.
Right.
Any station
Yeah, but
that has a control operator.
my understanding was that those kids had to be licensed to operate.
Control operator.
As long as you have a control operator.
Somebody
Yeah.
has to be control operator, that's all.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain, but definitely worth checking.
The entire point of the GOTA station, I thought.
Well, the GOTA station is specifically targeted for that, but the youth involvement can be any, because in the past we have had youths operate the 40-meter CW. So again, unless we have to go back and revise it.
Does Oakland High School have a ham radio club or a radio club? Do we know?
Yep, so does CJ, so does two or three others.
I'm near Robinson. I mean, that's a huge school.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well,
You have to operate under K4 HTA. Go to call sign, you can't have somebody operate 20 points under K4 XY.
is that right?
That's for
Okay.
GOTA, but not for youth involved.
To go to point.
They're doing 20 under K4 XY, they get 10 points. Now that's a CW, and then you get 20.
Exactly. Yep.
But to get the bonus points, it has to be under K4 HTA, and then it's under the aegis of the GOTA operation. So you have a control operator, and then you have a supervisor that supervises the entire GOTA operation.
That's correct. Yep. That's my understanding as well.
Members plus
To go to coach. Yeah.
take to the coach and the supervisor that would supervise a single operator. But
Okay.
GOTA and youth involvement are separate.
Yes, they're separate. Okay, so anyway, we're claiming the 1750. I'll check the rules for 311 and see if we can't claim that. Okay, so the unofficial results, if you add our QSO score with the bonus points, we're at 8540, 8,540. and we'll have another 100, so 8640. So if we go and we compare this to last year, you can see the difference down here is, 67. Wait a minute, Oh, that's just, those are the QSO counts. So the QSO counts, not including the bonus points, these are the differences here, and the QSO totals. So I think as we go through these slides, and I have several comparing to this year to last year, I think what I conclude from this is we had a phenomenal year last year. This year was good, but last year was phenomenal. They're going back one prior year, adding in the bonus points. We can see, again, last year was really, really outstanding. This year we bested our 2016 score, though, and that's as far back as I went. So some of our after-action observations, lessons learned. Site layout, prep. As Mike mentioned, using the prep trailer, the trailer for prep work and for the mess storage worked out really, really well. The raising of the tent, as well as the takedown tent of the mess tent went really, really well. Some of the observations that I had turned in as far as things that didn't go so well, using the station tents for staging, that did not work very well. It had the benefit, we were worried about the rain, but as a consequence, it was hard getting that stuff out of there, it was hard finding stuff, and it really delayed the setup on a couple of the stations. The bins, I think we could do a better job of labeling those bins. Everybody's running around, it's dark in the tents. I find it really hard reading them just because they're small. I was guilty of this, and I saw other people as well moving the tents after they were already set up. I think that's probably a bad idea. I mean, the tents are new right now, they're in good shape, but as they get a little older, I could see those things getting tore and broke, so I think it's a bad idea. Once they're up, they should stay. If we've got to move them, I'd suggest we take them down. We ended up being short on tents, partly because of going 5A. I think, did we have a new tent donated? Or one, so I think, but, pardon me?
I think we resuscitated an old one.
Resuscitated, yeah, we had a couple of resuscitated ones, but it was a little bit of a panic there. The park failed to deliver our picnic tables. Pete was able to get us set up, squared away by renting a bunch Saturday morning, so all turned out okay. But again, that was a little bit of a panic when we knew we having all these people coming to eat, we only had 3 picnic tables. We almost didn't have a porta potty. I got to the site, there was nobody there, the site was empty. I was down talking at the headquarters, and I saw a porta potty leaving. They were at the stoplight, and I'm running down the road waving my arms. They claimed they didn't know where they were putting it, so they were leaving without it. Without leaving it. Leaving, yeah, with the potty. One of the lessons somebody mentioned, and I think this was a good observation, we didn't have a clear lane for getting to the mess tent from the road so people could move equipment in and out, trailers or whatever. So probably next year with some cones or some ribbon or tape or something, we could keep a corridor clear so it's easy to get in and out.
Well, the big concern there was because we were running ropes and cables as well, and we couldn't see them as well. We had to have people out looking out for us as we were moving vehicles in and out of the food area.
So it'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good to have it someplace, clear and to remain clear so that people didn't get trapped.
Would it help to make sure that the golf drive is open to the golf center parking lot, so people can come in that way as well?
Well, this is more of a concern with people on the grass going from the road to the mess tent mainly, which we should keep that to a minimum. But sometimes you have to do that. Although you did bring up a good point that I forgot to put on here. Next year, I think it's important that we talk to the park people and make sure that gate is closed. But that also we need a sign at the entrance coming from the south side that says the road's closed to through traffic. Because we did have people going through and they'd hit the barrier and then come back, so it was worse than having it open.
So we should have it open?
I think we should have it closed so we don't have people coming through, but put signage up that says it's closed so people don't attempt to go down it. So our site map, it's a little hard to see with the green background, but these are all still linked on the website spreadsheet if you want to take a good look at it. But This is updated with what was actually deployed, and it was pretty much what we had planned. I think the antennas went up pretty much according to what we had intended. There wasn't too many surprises.
Including the ones that are going across the Gulf Drive?
The one across the Gulf Drive, the off-center 80 meter, the intention was there that we could move it, rotate it around, but we ended up putting the delta loop here, which was a really good high tree, but that forced the 80 meter to be a little bit further this way, so there really wasn't enough room to swing it. But it turned out that it worked quite well. That's, I think, what we had it last year. And
So is this the adjusted?
this is the as it was as built. So like I said, the GOTA antenna, I think Ross got that one shot up there. He found a nice hook tree, and it was really up there nice, the best I've seen that up there. The 80 meter wire beam, we got that one up really nice and high. I think that worked out quite well. Somebody mentioned about Jack being in Madagascar still, but he donated that hex beam, the tower, and all that hardware. That's huge, man. So he deserves a big thank you. On the bad side, the 80 meter, all of the ropes were up in the trees. I thought we had somebody designated to pull that antenna up, but it never went up, so that one never got deployed. I'm not sure it would have got used, but all these things would have been good to get them up so we could have tested them. Unfortunately, we missed an opportunity to get some good testing, I think. It would have been fun to try that. The 80 meters, we're still getting those hung up at dark. It took quite a while. I have some good comments on safety with particularly the new hex beam. I mean, it's a new equipment, so there were some safety issues related to that.
Okay.
I've got a slide coming up on that. So some of the lessons, I definitely think some hands-on clinics for using the pneumatic launchers, hanging antennas, some knots. These could be done at a lot of our other events. So some of our QRP to the field, anything that we're putting up antennas, any of the QSO parties, we could bring those pneumatic launchers, just shoot some stuff into the trees, pull some lines up, so we could get some people kind of educated on this, because it turned out we had 3 pneumatic launchers, but no operators. Nobody felt comfortable enough to really use them. We had the Canon, my launcher, and then 2 others. But it sure would have been nice to have all of those things going simultaneously. Things would have got done a lot quicker. The Moxons, last year they got disassembled, which ended up costing us a lot of time because we had the spreaders and the wires, but nothing was really marked, so it took a lot of effort to get those all sorted out and reassembled. So this year we wound them all up together, and hopefully next year they'll come apart in much better shape. So these have a volunteer in charge of each mast. So this is kind of some of the safety things. So really we should practice, get somebody who's responsible to know how each antenna is set up. Now John, he's got the spider beam. He's kind of I guess that's your baby now at this point, but it'd be good to have somebody or some people who are really boned up on the hex beam, how to put it up properly, and have a safe, a single point of contact there to make sure that it's being done properly, because one of those things falls over on somebody's car, or having somebody, that could be really obviously bad. And then there's some maintenance that needs to be done on the hex beam. Make sure, like some of the carabiners I noticed were really pretty flimsy. They're not real strong, so it just needs a little maintenance, a little tender care. Computers and networking. The good was all the computers are updated, the latest Windows drivers, N1MM. A lot of effort went into getting all that done, so they were all in pretty good shape. We had 2 new laptops, thanks to Mark and Rebecca for the new laptops, very much appreciated. So some of the bad things is, man, Control O. I mean, we got the logs, and it's amazing how many you can see where people didn't log in. So a lot of unaccounted for operators. So we need to have some big signs that.
Actually, I think N1MM should put the current control operator at the top.
It should do something, big bright letters, or if you're operating, be sure you log out, or maybe you don't want to. You get some extra QSOs under your name. I don't know. periodic backups. I mean, every tent, every captain ought to be doing, periodic backups. So if something goes wrong, we have not so much multiple copies, but at least a copy of the ADFs and the Cabrillo. Both of them are important to have. They have different information in them. The Ethernet cables, good Lord, they're a mess. I think they ought to go in the trash bin and buy some that are, we don't need to reach from Burke Lake back to here. They just need to go the, couple hundred feet is really what we need. Those things are just huge.
Note on that, can we actually make sure that with the Ethernet cables and whatnot, whether we reuse the current ones or get new ones, that we actually make sure people line them up much like we did for the coax stuff?
Absolutely, yeah.
There were a ton of things, especially the one that went way out to
that was a Gordian knot. Yeah, it took forever to, and I've got a slide kind of on that coming up, but people don't see it, but you get back to the locker, and the poor people who are putting that stuff away at the locker. I mean, it's Sunday, 6 o'clock, it's hot in there, and they're having to stretch out all these coaxes and cables and rewind them. I mean, you don't want to be doing it, and so it'd really be nice if we got it done correctly at the beginning.
For next year, could we just get a big spool of Ethernet and just make the cables on site the right way?
Sure.
You go right ahead.
So the other things are, we had some last minute interfacing problems, cat issues.
My understanding of that was, there may have been some network drops, but my understanding was that a huge issue with the master copy not being consolidated is that the versions of N1NM across all of the different laptops were not consistent prior to the actual event.
I think
so they were not talking to each other.
No, they were. I think they were all updated. Yeah.
The one issue was that N1MM actually had an update about 6 to 8 hours prior.
Okay.
And most people already had the version that was out on the list. Unfortunately, Leon ended up not realizing when he did update from an ancient version he had that it actually picked up that update and didn't stop there.
Okay.
That's one issue, but having that on site on USB, which I learned to do last year, because that really stopped. We were able to do that, and with the rainstorm we had there for that little bit, I was able to use that as a nice little downtime to actually set things back up.
Okay.
Thankfully, with the fact that they were all talking, and this year they were all on the same base version, there weren't a whole lot of issues with the log issues. It was just the fact that they were saying they weren't the exact same update.
Okay. Yeah, N1M seems to be a little picky on that, but by and by, it worked out okay. Let's see.
In other words, I think the taking point for this was you don't want to update them after you set up your establishment.
Please, next year, please do not do that. Or if you do, make sure that N1M is not connected to the internet after you do that, if you do use that machine or anything else. Because I know there were at least 2 operators that used their machine as personal that had it up as well. So it did update, and it did do a smooth update.
Okay, well, so the lessons are, I think, there is, with the N1, at least regard to N1MM, that is a fairly complicated program unless you're using it all the time.
The cat one, you started to talk about the cat control.
Yes.
There, I would suggest that the 2 things from the cat control issues were having the drivers for the USB interfaces to the radios, the ICOM 3300s, we had to find the drivers for those after the contest had started. And the other one was people, the station captains should really know the RTS, CPS settings and how to configure the radio to do push to talk from the computer, because we had problems with some of the K3s where when you plug it into the computer, they just key up to start transmitting as soon as you plug it in.
Because they key on one of the controls, RTS or CTS?
It's thought N1 and was telling you to transmit.
Okay. Yeah, so, it's hard because, a lot of the people who are bringing, thankfully are bringing their radios and letting us use their radios, they don't have the N1MM or the laptop, so there's not a chance to pre-test some of this. So I don't know if the proper thing is maybe to set up ahead of time Everybody bring their radios, but I mean, it's hard enough to get people to come out to the site to have site visits.
I think if you're bringing a radio, bring along whatever CD or drivers come with the radio and the manual. A long way towards all the problems.
Yeah. Yes.
For the 7300s at least, you can save different setups to a SD memory card plugged into it, so you can use a single card to set up all of the like machines
Okay.
to the same system.
That's nice, and it's a shame, but we had the K3, like 4, we had the Flex is the K3. Yeah, right. No, well, that's true too. That's right. So again, I mentioned the networking cables, places, some shorter ones, or Ross is going to make us some next year. Let's see.
So how many cables do we actually use? 8 in Cat5?
The Cat5 cables, yeah.
This year there were 5.
5, yeah.
Very long.
And then and the ones we've got in the locker, like I say, I mean they're extremely long, and they're kinked, they're knotted. Those things are cheap, right? We should just throw those old ones out and get some new ones. And also, one of the comments, so some of the connectors, like I said, are broke. Because people drag them through the grass, the connectors break, and then they're falling out of the back of the radios.
Well, that's a pretty good idea. Just like we do with the coax, have a kit, if you will, of the ability to roll out fresh cable. You have these cables that we depended on, and you have one go bad on you in the middle of all of this. You need to roll another one out.
I've seen schools of like Cat5 for free on Craigslist.
Yeah, it's super cheap.
Well, you'll have to have the crimping kits and the test kits. But
I'll put on all the RJ45G.
Okay, there we go.
In place of Cat5 cable, a cable that you'd not have to worry about during thunderstorms. Fiber optic. It doesn't matter if system A gets hit.
Very expensive, very fast.
Yeah, and fragile.
Yeah. Well, we had somebody from, who was it, Brendan, KM4HRR, about setting up a mesh network, but it was kind of too late.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But it wouldn't be a production setup, it wouldn't be just a test.
Right. And then the other thing was in the QT tent, update our routers or network switch with a 16 port just to eliminate some of the tangle that was in there. Operation, the Rogue 5 we're calling, the 5th station that we put on the air this year. One of the big benefits of that I saw was that it allowed some more operators to get on the air. So it gave us another seat, another microphone, another key. So that was really good. Some notes from our digital station was the copying of the field day bulletin Friday night. Got that knocked out of the way, that box checked right away. From John, the Mad Max vehicle, we had a couple other operators get in there and knock out some CW. And so he was happy about that, and he saw the benefit. So I think he's now got the wheels turning in his head to get on CW. Some of the things that didn't go so well, we had a lot of a slow start this year getting on the air between, like we said, some of the cat issues that were brought up. I think we had a bad microphone set up on one of the stations. What was that?
The 180 meter and 75 going up.
Well, this was, just as far as like just getting the stations on the air right away. From the digital station, some of the notes was he tried there wasn't much PSK31. Saw some stuff, but hard to operate. Did a little bit of running, I guess. Not much in the way already. No luck on FT8. From the VHS, again, 6 meter. What was that bad? That was good. Got that in the wrong spot. His driver, he had some issues. He thought that he could move. I don't know. To me, like his Mad Max vehicle is the Mad Max vehicle. Trying to move stuff outside into a tent would kind of diminish some of the novelty of that car, I think.
It's very, very rich setup. For him to move all that stuff out
Yeah.
tent would be very difficult. It was a very, probably, even though I had to cram in there very tight, even though I had to cram in there, because I'm a big guy, I had it in there tight, that
it's a pretty sweet operating spot.
Did he actually drive that there?
Yeah, oh yeah. And he had and then he had to do, and he had on Saturday morning he was doing a mechanical, changing out brake calipers. So the big one here was that we had I had several comments about people wanting to get on the air and they couldn't get on the air. They would go into a tent, they would stand there. You know, some people are shy or whatever. I don't know how aggressive people were, like knocking on people's shoulders to get on the air, but you know, one term was station hogging. So I'm not sure what went on there, but you know, there are definitely multiple comments about people not able to get on the air. So that was a little disappointing to hear. No youth operators again. I think we could do better grabbing something people as they go by, and difficulty coordinating the Rogue 5 operating frequencies sometimes. Although, you know, by and by, if people wanted to get on there, I think they were able to get on, find an open frequency, and make it work. So it did work out in the end. So some of the lessons, I really think it'd be important that next year we do a better job of coming up with some sort of plan or schedule to allow other operators to work our stations. Now, I don't know if it's a 40-meter schedule like we had going there in Jezek's tent, which worked out well, or maybe it's just something simple that we say, you know, the top of every hour, you know, at different stations, it's open mic. You know, maybe there's a sign-up sheet there where people can come say, you know, at this hour, you know, for those 10 minutes, I'd like to operate or something to make it easier for people to get their foot in the tent door.
One thing I was going to comment on that as well. I think one of the days where I got off 15 meters, I think it was Sunday, I got off there on the 15 meters, I went to have lunch, and the 10-meter station, 10 meter, 20 meter, 40 meter station, between 10, 20, 80 was not operating. I went over there to try to get on 10 meters, but I didn't know how to figure out the radio, because it was a micro. And I had no idea how to run that thing. If I had known it was like 7,300, I would have you wouldn't have had 10 contacts. You would have had 30 or 40. Okay,
well, that's a real good comment. I hope that
cheat sheet or just
some cheat sheets. I know Doug has a real good operator, a consolidated, you know, notebook that shows how to operate his station. So something like that, a cheat sheet. That's a great point.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, let's hustle up here. Okay. The interstation QRM, I think, worked out pretty well. Doug was able to do some testing with the Rogue 5, doing 20-meter digital and PSK at the same time. I wish we'd had a chance to try out some of the 80-meter operating in the same way, but we didn't get a chance to do that. Tear down, pack up. We had a lot of people helping until the very end. I think it got a little chaotic, and then all of a sudden people were gone, and that's when we really need help because people are wore out. It's hot, and that we really need more hands. I think at the very end of the day. As far as, you know, the coax and the ropes and stuff like that, putting things away, it might be better if we had a gearmeister winding the bins at the end of the thing, and maybe even the coax. I still see people like winding the coax on their arm, or, you know, really small coils that need to be redone. It might be better just to drag them all to a central spot and have a couple of volunteers there, you know, properly rolling and putting stuff away.
Mike, the first aid kit, they bring them in, and it looked like they had the stuff laid out on the table, but in the end, just took the lid off the bin, swept the table into it, and now first aid kit is worthless because you can't find anything in there. And the people that are, like you say, working in the lockers, hot and sweaty, don't have time to go through and put all the stuff back together.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Boxes for 2 people, it's better to have 10 people for 2 boxes.
Yeah. So if we had somebody there to help, like if it was in the Army where people are doling stuff out, and what do you call that guy? Taking somebody comes back, it's like, just lay it there and I'll put it in the boxes. I'll coil it. Or have like 3 or 4 volunteers just doing that.
I have a real quick point too. I know that I was with Mel at the locker with some other people as well, and we were discussing that very thing, and we did make the observation at the time that a lot of things were getting put away appropriately in their spots in the locker, but whatever was inside the boxes was still chaotic, and we still need to get the tents out, clean them out. We need to fix up a lot.
And somebody needs to make a video of our locker, because I don't know how many people have seen it, but it's not that big. It's small. It's hot, and you'd appreciate the effort that people have to go through to straighten stuff out. Yes.
Yeah, a couple comments. One is a lot of the tents were put away wet. There was really no alternative.
Yeah.
And second is, if people are complaining it's too hot in there, if we don't need that stuff till next field day, why not send an expedition there in February to redo all the cables and everything? About that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. But I mean, doing if we're doing inventory checks, so the sooner you do it, the better. Well, it's fresh people's minds. Where is this? Where is that?
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to get. I know I'm running short on time here. So 5A versus 4A. Again, the good, we got more people on the air. The bad, it's a heck of a lot harder. I mean, it's amazing how much more difficult it was planning a 5A versus a 4A as far as site usage. Our site is not really that big, so it was really difficult to get the antennas correct. I think we did okay, but it wasn't easy. So it might be better, if we're going to run the 5th station, to have it designated as a specific band tent versus trying to share it. I mean, trying to share the same bands with other tents, I don't think is the best way to do it. It might be better to say, this is a 10-15, and then we have a 40 and a 40, or something like that. It might be a better approach.
Do you suppose that contributed to the decision to not put up the 180?
The 160? No, I think that was just an oversight. So this is, the prior slide was, can we compete? But, I went back and looked from last year, because the 5A, this is from 2017, there were only 75 stations that were 5A, versus 4A is 133. So if you take our score that we had this year and put it to last year, we would be in the top, what was that, 1, 2, 3, 4? We'd be in the 6th position. If our score is the same, inserted last year, we'd be 6th. So we'd be 6 out of 75. Of course, now 4A last year, we were 4th out of 133. So like I said, last year was a really incredible year for us. But, our score this year was fairly respectable. There's nothing to be, for the first time, 5A, I think we did quite well. It'd be interesting to see when the final numbers come out, but I think that's fairly respectable. There's a slide here on some of the specifics from the grounding team. Some safety issues. Mainly, that was the big one about the safety of some of the ground rods. Maybe put some cones over them to make sure that nobody impales himself on that. Lots of visitors. That was one of the things I was most impressed with. We had a great Connection newspaper reporter come out. Although it is kind of funny when you read the article, how non-technical some people are when you read it and stuff. But still, it was great coverage. We had ARRL officials. We had law enforcement. We didn't have a government elected official, but we had people from their offices come out. Lots of volunteers. So, and like I said, a lot of people contributed to my notes here, so I really appreciate that.
As far as the article is published, it sometimes helps to follow up with a review of it with the writer. I don't know how much effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. I don't want to be, at all critical. I'm going to put this up on the website, or I'll give it to somebody who can put it up on the website. But we got a nice letter from Bill who came out and visited. Sent it to Bill here, basically commenting us on, everything, all the elements for a successful day, public location, information tent, easy accessible, good operating, friendly operators. So, really glowing letter. I mean, it's amazing how many of these I get. I just, got this one from Bill, and I saw this one came in today about a fella, Jeff, who's an operator, got his daughter, 10-year-old daughter, brought it out there, and just had a fantastic time. And it's just, it's things like this that make it worthwhile. So, I encourage you to read this when you get a chance. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Mike.
Great.
Okay, everybody, thanks for hanging on. You have some
missing the sympathy card.
The sympathy card. Does anybody know where the sympathy card is? Right there on the table at the far end.
All right, yeah.
So thanks again to Rebecca, KM4RDS, for the food. Thanks to all of you for coming, especially the visitors. Let's meet again in about 2 weeks, 2 floors up. So, and before that, go to Pete's house on the 21st and have some fun with NAQP RIDI. Thanks, everybody. Take care. 7-3, and be safe on the way home.
Anybody else?